Hey guys, it's Paul, combat veteran, MMA fighter, YouTuber, and today we are taking a look at the awesome looking cinematic trailer for Warhammer 40,000's, I think it's their 9th edition. It just says new edition. But this has blown up on YouTube last year, so let's get into it.
In the darkness between the stars, the weak and the faithless find no deliverance.
Alright, so I'm guessing we're looking at Imperial Guard versus Necrons. The glowing green I've definitely picked up is our friends the Necrons.
We are raised to believe that the God Emperor watches over us all.
Okay, alright. The animation was kind of weird there. It made it look as though the green blasts were coming from behind the Inquisitor.
And so we are charged to cleanse the mutant, the heretic, the...
Okay, so I appreciate her use of cover. I think it's actually a sororitas. I appreciate that the guard and the sister are both using cover. Cover is really tough when you don't. It's tough to maneuver when you don't have fire support backing you up. So again, you've got one guardsman, and it appears to be one sister of battle. And what they would normally do is have one person shooting, the other one gets to cover, the other one shoots, the other one gets to cover. But it looks like this sister just sort of showed up very recently, unexpectedly, and is just sort of jumping into the fight. Now, what's interesting to me is that, we know from lore that the Sisters of Battle aren't really under any obligation to coordinate with the Guard in any meaningful way, and it looks like that's happened here. The Guardsman is probably as surprised as anyone that the Sisters of Battle have shown up.
Alien. We must not falter. We are his sword. We are his wrath. Even in the face of death.
Respect to the face tattoos. I guess in the 41st millennium, they're seen as cool. But here in the, whatever millennium we're in, I don't know. I guess we're in the 2nd millennium, but AD. Anyway, the point is, they're not cool in this time. They're pretty trashy.
We shall not submit.
Damn, that guardsman is just still stuck behind that rubble.
Suffering is our prayer.
Okay, I'm just going to point this out. There's definitely a disconnect here because you've got Necron spider person chasing her, like actively chasing her with a scythe, and the Necron warrior just shot her, and now they've both just sort of dipped. Like, they just gave up. Like, damn. Okay.
Faith is our armor. In battle, he offers us redemption.
Oh, okay, there he is. Also, isn't that a real mechanic in the game, lore experts, that sisters can have a saving function by doing like an act of faith to heal a wound?
And for those who prove worthy, the Emperor sends forth his angels.
I appreciate that going through that Space Marine's head is probably like you slicing that person was unnecessary. Because I feel like that's a Space Marine thing of being like, you would just waste your time. Like, you can kill a Necron by stabbing it through the chest. We were fine.
Our Imperium is besieged. Across 1,000 worlds, we fight for our survival.
Okay, I have a question. I understand that the halo around a certain Space Marine seems to denote seniority or leadership, but my question is that specific to the Ultramarines? Because these guys look sort of like Ultramarines in that the sense that they appear to have the blue armor, but I'm not seeing the Ultramarine Omega symbol. Maybe these guys are Primaris?
Survival. Those that would tear humanity down.
Space Marines, dude. Okay, their unwillingness to use cover like fascinates me, and it fascinates me because they aren't fundamentally different in terms of their armor or their equipment than the Sisters of Battle, and yet the Sisters used cover, but these Space Marines are just like charging into the Necrons. Yet really curious. I mean, running and shooting is good, right? You want a base of fire, and I guess, okay, so here's my thinking, right? When the way the U.S. military is trained, right, we get a suppressive fire, and what achieves suppression over an enemy is the fact that they don't want to die. And so they have that instinctive self-preservation that they get down behind cover. They put something between the person shooting at them and themselves, right? A tree, they'll lay down in the dirt, a rock, whatever, a vehicle. And then that means that if you are able to get an angle on them, a different angle, then not only is the enemy focused on the people shooting at them, but their cover is only angled to be appropriate for that, front-facing field of fire. And so when you flank around them, you're able to just push through and attack them from another angle. But it all depends on the self-preservation instinct and the sort of tunnel vision you get when you're being shot at. And so if the Necrons, who have unkillable bodies or can be resurrected, don't really have a strong feeling about being shot or not shot, then maybe like ideas about suppressive fire and like shooting from cover don't make any sense. It's kind of a stretch. I mean, I can't imagine that even if you don't have an instinctive desire not to die, like logically, a dead warrior is less useful than an alive warrior. So you would want to preserve your combat power, just cerebrally, even if emotionally the desire to live wasn't all that strong. So the point is, I still think cover and suppressive fire should still work.
Our legion. Our forces are few. Our enemies.
Okay, I'm going to point this out. If you wanted to tell me that there was an optimal weapon for fighting Space Marines, it would probably be those little scarabs. And think about it. The bolter rounds are not area weapons. They're big, but they're like this big, right? So you have to hit a scarab, especially one, they're like a dinner plate, right? They have a wide area, but when they travel, they have a very flat area. So you need to hit something this flat, square on with a dinner plate. And yeah, the Astartes are good, but nothing's that good, especially when you're talking about a barrel that's like this long. You're just not going to deliver precision shots. And the chainsword has the same problem. Chainsword's this thin, scarab's this thin. It's a tall order to slice. And so even if those scarabs are not that powerful, or especially if they followed a sort of like suicide drone protocol, dude, they could crush Space Marines. I mean, imagine just 24 scarabs latching onto you and detonating even a moderately powerful explosive, right? The Space Marines would be donezo, and none of their weapons they'd be only trivially effective. So I'm sure they get balanced in the game, right? Because you don't want to have just like a Space Marine crushing bug. But if you were like, hey, Paul, real world, what would you field against a Space Marine chapter? I'd be like something like this, or some sort of area gun I would try to figure out a way to basically cook Marines inside their power armor, like a microwave weapon of some kind. Those would be my 2 go-to options.
Many. There is no respite.
Okay, so maybe the Shield Marines. Again, for elite warriors, I really question their tactical sense sometimes. Because, like, if you have shield bearers, put them in front. Like, come on, guys. The Roman Legion figured this out in 600 BC.
There is no mercy. And in our darkest hour, a spiteful universe awakens forgotten evils to break us.
Okay, I'm just going to point this out. Every time I see a sequence of, like, melee combat, the person who is being focused on, in this case the Space Marine, his enemies wait patiently to get within striking distance one at a time. And that is truly the least effective way to fight someone. Like, especially if they're more powerful than you. Like, everybody, he can't slice 6 people at once. You know, you can only slice 1 Necron at once. So everybody swarm him. Again, it makes for great cinematography. I mean, it's really badass. Just down. And for those of you in the comments, I know, it's Warhammer. It's supposed to be crazy and over the top. But where's the fun in that? Come on, man. You gotta roast this is what I do. But, you know, I roast excellent animators. Which this is great, man. This animator did a great job and deserves all the credit in the world.
The galaxy burns, yet still we stand, the last bulwark against the terror. And while we draw breath, we will fight. For in this new dark age, there is only war.
Warhammer 40,000. Gotta say, man, Necrons, they just seem like a badass faction. Really well designed. And you know, sort of original, right? The combination of like cyber zombies is actually like kind of original, right? Everything else is everything else is kind of derivative, right? The orcs are the orcs from Tolkien and Warhammer. You know, Tyranids are aliens from Alien, or alien from Alien. Eldar are just elves in space. The Necrons, yeah, they're obviously derived from some stuff, but there's a lot of original material, right? The long eternal slumber, the capturing of the gods and using them for their own as weapons, like those are like actually original plot lines, and you can see they have a really original look to them. I think all that's awesome, and you know, so I am curious, right? I do want to get into the Warhammer model painting army building universe. I know I had one person recommend I get an Indominus box, but if you guys have any other recommendations about what's like a pretty accessible army to build or paint, let me know, because you know I'm all about it. All right, that's all I had. Guys, be sure to check out the merch store. You can get cool mugs like this, and I'm actually thinking about rolling out some other designs in the future, so be on the lookout. And yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later.